went away and you all had enjoyed and a great time with your family. And now everyone is just coming back to the work, and many of you might have been like, when we after a long weekend we come to work, or like with festive week, sometimes we come up with a guilt also, like, oh, we have got that much of time there and now we have to get back to the work. So this is something. And like again, like if we talk about the work environment, so one of the most talked about like topic revolve around that itself, like the HRs, which we call as like the Rangoli makers, which you have seen in the last festive seasons, but they are being accounted for most of most of the responsibilities, and the topics which we are going to talk about today, and will be revolving around when they are interested with this responsibilities. More of that is like the attrition, I would say, like where the peoples are leaving the organizations and like accommodating them, and the cost we have to talk about. So all that thing falls upon their head itself. So we'll just begin the sharing, like how we talking about like how we can stop that, how we can prevent the attrition and get our cost to be uh, in the right panel itself. So let me share my screen and I'll let me present it. So as we have just rehosted the session of in the webinar series, and the topic I have just spilled the bean to our guest is like, we are going to talk about the iteration. So who is about to leave and predicting the iteration before it happens. So we'll just talk about in the whole the session. We will be covering the detecting the signs before it becomes attrition and turn the behavior patterns into the retention strategy. Moreover, you can ask any question and queries. Maybe I within during the session, I'm not key will not be keeping an eye on that. But please feel free. We'll just take up the session. We'll having the Q&A session in the last few minutes, and you can just catch up, and we'll talk about that a little. So many of the time, I'm sure like everybody of you have come across a situation where you will be wondering about and thinking about, like, I wish we had seen it coming when one of your key or the top performing employees has lost your organization. Or it can be a case like it has some of your employee or one of your employees has left the organization, and you see him doing very well in the next other organization where he's joining, or when he's leaving, then you're feeling the space he is left or the performance he was delivering. So I would say like the most of the resignation don't start with the notice letter. They start really quite early, and where it starts from zero itself is like the where the unnoticed disengagement starts. So in this session we are going to talk about like how we can spot it early, the resignation before the resignation is coming, how we can start it and how we can spot it and act early on it, so to prevent the attrition. Because if we talk about the attrition itself, so it sounds very familiar, like for any of you in the very right positions, like resignation doesn't feel sudden even, because there are warning signs there itself. The high performers quietly disengage or run out without visibility. Managers end up reacting to the exit instead of the preventing them. So what actually happens? It like all of a sudden you get a resignation letter from your employee, and at that point of time it's totally the end of the things is happening, and where you cannot like keep your employee, retain your employee, because it's a last action being taken by them. So this session is exactly going to fix it like that itself, like how you can spot early sign, act upon them, and like you can just reduce your attrition cost. Because when we talk about the attrition or the attrition cost itself, because cost is going to be a biggest factor for everybody. So for whom is this going? The session is going for is for the founders, HR heads, people ops, delivery heads. I would say like these, you all guys are the pillar who would be talking about, who are channelizing the organization, who are founding the organization, who are building them, and who are being focused of like keeping it as a progressed one. And where it when we talk about building an organization, channelizing it, them keep it running, growing, and talking about the expansion or the growth, uh, we talk about all the components which are building them, whether it's like the human resource, whether it's the cost, whether it's the financial things, and the technology things. So the cost and the human resource, it plays a very biggest role. And the attrition, if we are talking about, is the attrition cost is the sum up of the cost where we have to bear it out when the people are leaving. It can be, the reason can be anything, like it's because of like we need some fresh talent, like the like we need the succession planning to be happen. Our expansion has been done, so we need to hire more workforce because the man like the we are not able to manage the current work with the current workforce. Or it can be because of the superannuation, the person is has reached to the superannuation, or like the person is at the age where they need to take the voluntary retirement. But apart from that, the voluntary retirements or the superannuation, there are the reasons where you might have come across to the many scenarios, like people are just putting up their resignation letter, and you are just guessing, and like then you are wondering, I should not have lost that employee. Because filling the seat, it's quite okay, it's quite fine, it's like quite easy. But filling the right seat with the right employee with the right talents, it's a bit challenging in everybody's environment today. So how you all can, like the founders, HR, and the people ops and delivery heads who are just concerned about, and everybody have to take care of that cost, can be savings. They will talk about the session in the session about that itself only. And what I would say is like you can just save up, like you can just save up the entire cost where it is going into the resignation because the people are not happy, or like there is some breakage, or like there is some disengagement where they are, where we can act upon, we can save up that cost, and that cost can be channelized into other your other productive channels in the ventures itself. So the agenda of today's session is going to how hidden disengagement and burnouts quietly drive attrition, the real impact of turnover on teams productivity and cost, proven strategies to retain top talent before it's too late, how TimeChamp turns employee data into the actionable retentions insights, real world success stories, a quick walkthrough how to start your free trial, like the two, how to you will just analyze the data and how the intelligence tool can help you out to just get rid of that, and just to quickly understand like where the burnout is happening, where the disengagement is happening, and how you can take act upon them very early itself. Just going upon with the like unexpected resignation, like that unexpected resignation, it was not just reiterating the fact that unexpected resignation is, it was not unexpected at all, because it start from there itself, like where there's a quiet disengagement, drop in performance, lack of collaboration, and this all when it goes into the multiplication itself, it comes up with a sudden uh, resignation itself. Here's a case you can just see, like the meet Mr. Akhil, a business unit head managing 250 employees. He gets project updates, HR reports, performance dashboards, and check-ins, but still he has no visibility into who is disengaging, who is burnout prone, who might be planning an exit. He assumes everything is working very fine until a top performer comes up one day, resigns with 2 weeks' notice. So that's the reality today most of the teams are facing, because superficially what we are thinking is like, okay, everything is going really well, everything is under control, we are getting the big numbers, we are getting the big ventures, we are seeking the success. But all of a sudden when we see like a mail in our outbox, or like a mail in my in the inbox, or like employee coming to the cabin and coming out with a 2 weeks notice, and then we feel okay, like suddenly like we were feeling like everything was going well, like how it has happened. But it is not the story of a single day, it has happened because it is a result of the things which are going in the background itself, in the form of like the silent disengagement, like the instability in their psychological factors, like the behavior patterns has been changes. There's a dropout in their productivity and the performance, which has left unnoticed. No checks on had been happen on the person itself, and it has been formalized into a sudden resignation letter itself. So how we can check up on that? Because the leaders can't see what happens is like we don't focus there itself is where the focus needs to be there itself. We lose the visibility itself, like because what we are missing is silent disengagement, hidden burnout buildup, unused talent potentials, early intent signals. It might be many times it has had happened, but you have lost it without the visibility. You have not seen it practically, like where the silent disengagement is happening, where the hidden burnout is actually building up. You might be have come across this many of the cases, but that cases has remained unnoticed by your team itself. Like there might be a multiple cases where the people are showing disengagement itself, like they are feeling like they are burnout, and like they are giving you, even your employees are giving you the early exit signals as well, but these remains unnoticed itself and forms, and one day they come up before us in the form of like the resignation itself. So all these signs can be very preventable. Even the data are showing the same numbers itself. If we'll just look upon the stat shows by many of the reports, so pay active is showing like 550 to 200% of the annual salary is the cost to the replace a single employee. So what I would say, like how about like you can just save up this entire cost, because instead of just replacing the employee, what if we'll just act out very proactively, and we'll just retain the existing employee itself, and will say end up saving the entire cost, which can be channelized into the other venture itself, which is something we everybody is looking for. Next, the Gallup data itself is like agreeing on the same stat itself, like 42% of the employee turnover is preventable with early intervention. So if we'll just interrupt, like if we'll just do the steps, it can be the preventable, like our employee turnover, and again like this cost can be save up very automatically. Again, you can have a look on the another data itself. Right? Approximately 30% of the new hires leave their position within the first 6 months itself. So again, this data is showing very shockingly, and we can just work on that. Like how about like we can just talk about like what exactly the person is facing. We can act upon the problems itself. And here are the things like the employees, maybe like problem can be very simple, like he would be needing a new skills itself. In the case of like I would say, like in the case of like the existing employee, maybe he's finding the lack of tools. Maybe he wants some new learning opportunities, or the growth opportunities is missing. He might be feeling the blockage. That's the reason that he might be thinking of losing. Again, in the case of the new hires, the problem can be like the person is looking and wanting some new skills to be learned. He just needs a small training. After that, he can just show the magics and it's working. Again, like 50% of the employees you can see are actively or passively looking for the job itself. So these the numbers are data are showing itself, where we can just, if we talk and if we work early and we can spot the early signals, if we can act upon them, definitely we can just stop the cost itself. So, based upon the data and the scenarios we are talking about, the audiences, so we are just keeping a poll before you. So let's see like how you're thinking of that. Like how often do you feel like your team's disengagement signals go unnoticed? Whether it's almost never, we catch them very early. Are you thinking like that? Sometimes, or like, but we miss a few times. It is the scenario of your organization. Or very often, like only see issues, and after that, after the resignation itself, or always you feel like it's exit is feels very sudden every time itself. Please vote for the scenarios which you are feeling. So we'll just see the results, and we'll talk about and take the sessions in the continuance itself. So we are just waiting for the results too. I hope you have done the pollings. Okay, so the results are here itself. We have got results like the often or only see sometimes is it's 0% itself, and we have the mixed result, or I'd say like the sometimes like the how often the question was they are like how often do you feel your team disengagement signals go unnoticed. So surprisingly we have got like the 50%, 56% around like sometimes, but we miss a few, almost never, like we catch them very early, and often is 0%, and always like its exit feels are very sudden. So again the ratio and the percentages are quite here and there itself, like it's a mix and match, like sometimes you people are guessing it or sometimes, and it's always like the high percentage is showing like the always an exit feels very sudden. So let's talk about like how we can just get a catch on these signals very early itself. So we'll just talk about like how we can just make all the signals to be spot on very early, and you can just work accordingly, and we can set up the cost itself. So the top reasons why your employees leave are burnout and lack of recognitions, career limitations and poor leadership, management and culture misfit, compensation and benefit issues. So these are the top four reasons, like the burnout and lack of recognition, career limitations, and poor leadership, management and culture misfit, and compensation and benefit issues, because of which the employees leave. And how about like if we'll just catch up these signals, like what's the signal is the person is facing, and we can act upon them and we can work out accordingly. So if we just talk about the cost itself, the true cost of attrition is like is including of recruitment and hiring, onboarding and training, lost productivity, knowledge and relationship loss, impact on team's morale, compensation and financial loss. So if you will be looking closely on this, all these costs itself, where the attrition cost is coming up, you will be seeing like all these things can be really under control, and these things can be channelized into the another successful things itself and the productive thing. Because if we talk about the recruitment and hiring, so what if I would say you like the recruitment and hiring cost can only be just we can just keep it only for like the where it is actually required, like this like the superannuations has been happened, or like the voluntary retirements where the people actually needs like they to just they're just shifting to their own venture itself, and something that thing is happening, and we can just save up the cost where the recruitment and hiring is just happening because of like the disengagement, burnout, or where we can act upon and we can retain our top talent. And if we'll just retaining, we will be able to retain our top talents itself there itself, and where the things are actually performing and keep people keeping working in the sync itself, you will be stopping and you will be acting upon on the thing itself. So you will be saving the onboarding and training costs, because if we'll not be hiring the unnecessary people itself, so that onboarding and training costs will also be saved itself. Lost productivity is again a cost which the people are wearing, and most of the founders, most of the key members and everybody in the organizations are like really focused and worried about of that itself. Like I have found many of the top leaders, many of the hrs and the devops and the operation peoples are working and like the worried about that itself, because here in the case of the attrition itself, we lose the productivity in the multiple forms itself, with disrupt the work of every channel itself. Because you would be coming across the same situation when one of the your employee is leaving, so then you are leaving the productive, you are just losing the productivity because of that the losage of this person's work itself. He's not performing, is going out itself, and until unless the person again the another person is joining, it will take a couple of times of hiring them, placing them, training them, and there itself also the loss of productivity has happened. And one of like the few cases where the manager come across the same situation, where a manager is managing his team itself, everything is under the sink, everybody knows who has to work on what product, what what things and what task and everything has been weaved, and that like this culture itself. And when one of the team member loses or like just coming out of that environment itself, then to fix up the another people there itself, it creates a little of a fuss there itself, which sinks the productivity of the entire project itself. So this is something can be really saved up if we'll just spot on the early signals. Knowledge and relationship loss can also be set up and can be just stopped there itself. Impact on teams' morals and the compensation financial loss. It will just talk about and will just work on each and every patterns, like where the people the attrition cost is going. Everything can be saved up. We can just focus on our talent itself and retain them itself. Early warning signals of attritions are where we have to just catch up on them and work out on them are declining productivity. So these are few signals which you can just check up on your members and you can work out on them, like declining productivity, reduced collaborations, irregular attendance, low engagement, behavioral changes. So you would be seeing like how about many of the times you have come across a situation where one of your heroic performer employee, or who was the employee who was showing a very 100% productivity, or he was very productive itself, now you will be seeing like that there's a decline in his productivity, in his working itself. You will be seeing like he's not that much of engaging itself. Again another example can be reduced collaboration, like where again this in the same scenario itself, you might be come across the many situation where one of your very bright person who was very engaging in each of the collaboration, the project which we were working on, he was full of innovative ideas, he was full of like even he was showing you some another cost cutting patterns itself, new ideas he was giving. But one fine day you are feeling like, okay, this person is not showing anything, showing up anything, he's just feeling like working like behind the curtains, keeping himself on mute. So these can be a signals where we can caught upon like what's the problem is the person. So that can be a again a early warning signal of the attrition itself. And what if we can just check it out very early, we can just work on it and we can get it sorted. Next, another factor can be for attrition itself is the irregular attendance, because when the person feels very disengaged, because the person feels he needs to leave the organization, there's a low in morale, he's not interested in the work itself, he feels very pathetic. So there kind might be the reasons because of that, like he's taking irregular attendance. Might be you have come across the many situation where the people are just applying for the leaves multiple times, he's showing disengagement, and all of these signals can be in comments in the combinations as well, and you can check about on them itself. Again, the low engagement can be the other factor where the same thing can be happen, like the person who was showing the engagement in all of the activities, whether they are work related, whether they are collaborative activities, whether they are the fun Fridays, whether they are the engagements or other activities happening in the projects things itself, or like where you're introducing new collaborations and the things. And all of a sudden you are finding that person is not showing any engagement at all, he's not delivering any ideas at all, because he is now thinking like he's no more fit for this organization itself. So again, this can be a change. This can be a early warning signal for the attrition itself. Behavior changes also is a very great cause, or like the a signal for attrition itself, where many of the manager have not been able to visualize it very early, which again goes into the form of like the resignation, and it becomes very late when the people come across this kind of thing. But what if you are just closely working with your team and you can see a sudden behavior changes with your employee, the person who was very good spoken, the person who was very engaging, who was very active, and again he shows some kind of like psychological or the mental pressure he might be feeling, that can be a cause, and like that there's a change in his behavior. He's not behaving accordingly as routine as naturally he was early. So that can again early sign of the attrition. And if you'll just, we have just talked about all these signals. So if you'll just brainstorm for a minute of time, you would be thinking and you will come across a situation like, yes, these all these signs are the signs of attrition. And all, I would say, like this, all these signs can be very preventable if we'll just spot this very early before resignation, I would say. So out of the data, one in the three employees disengage before it's resigned, and the most of the problem is like the most of the leaders never see it. So the problem is not about the behavior. The problem is not about the retention. The problem is not about the resignation. The problem is not about the attrition. The only problem, because the attrition cost is rising, attrition is becoming a problem, or I would say like the resignation feels all of a sudden, and we feel like there's a loss in the productivity, all the thing is because it start with the visibility itself only. So the problem is the visibility. When you we will just start visibilizing it very early itself, so the problem will has been like you have the, I would say like the 90% of the problem will be solved itself. So the retention strategy can be suggested like before it become too late and the retention becomes a problem. I would say like the retention is never has been reactive. It's always been a proactive approach. What happens actually is when you see a resignation letter in your inbox or in your cabin, you start acting there itself. But the problem is that only because we start actually reacting very late, it becomes then very late. And then we start like the HRs and the founders start engaging with the person, asking like the what's is actually happening. But I would say retention is has never been a reactive. It should always be a proactive approach to keep the things under the control. So the signals which we need to identify very early to keep our top talent engaged are one-to-one check-ins, recognition and reward programs, career growth and learning opportunity, workload balancing and flexibility, wellness and support programs. So I would say it's never been a single approach we can just fill up or like we can apply to the human resource of our organization. We have to take care of all together to keep the things very under controls and like the keeping our employees very well nourished and like engaging. So one-to-one check-ins needs to be required like regularly. The managers regularly, the HRs manager regularly, the founders or regularly the under whom we are working there needs to be one-to-one checkup. You need to like plan accordingly, and you should know like where the things are lagging. Rewards and recognition again plays a very important factors, and again on the top of that, like how well you are planning it, how well you are programming your programs itself. What I would say, like, you have done the recognition and rewards, but you are just celebrating the heroic performance. So I have came across many of the discussions with the founders and the leaders. So the problem again was not like that they are just have the recognition and reward. The problem, but the problem actually was they were celebrating their heroic performance only. So what happens like when we just celebrate the heroic performers, the other performers who are also contributing to the success of our organization very silently feels dissatisfied. They feel like their efforts are not getting recognized anytime. Only the heroic performance are getting measured, getting recognized. So in that scenario, they are feeling like they have not they are not getting the recognition. And again, it we feel we come and we have to bear the cost as a cost of the resignation itself. And then we struggle for the retention, because when what happens when one of the top talent leaves the organization after leaving, we come across the situation and we realize like, okay, what we have missed, like that was the productivity we are losing, the cost we are losing, and the top talents we are bearing up for that. And again, the career growth and the learning opportunity is the one of the biggest factor which we have to take care for to retain our employees, because whenever the people are just joining our organization, They are looking for there should be a growth in their career itself, as we are thinking for our organization to grow. Same the new hires, or like who are just retaining, who are just our old hires itself, are always looking for a learning opportunity where they can see themselves as upskilling one. So this is something which we have to incorporate in our informant fit itself. Next is like the workload balancing and the flexibility again has been playing a biggest role in retaining your top talented. I will say, like, what if you have just given the holidays to your employee for a 1 day or 2 days, and but he's feeling again suffocated because he has been overloaded with the work. What if you are not giving them the flexibility, like somebody is just calling up and want like today we I need just work from home because there's a lot of traffic and the things, I'm not able to figure it out, and like my most of the time goes in the traffic itself. So there the flexibility needs to be required itself, which is one of the biggest factor in the today's environments needs to be done. As I have come across one of the cases itself, like where the employee was complaining like I have just got a leave of a day itself, and that day has just went into the just moving in the traffic itself. And what he was just looking for, like he should be given the work from home itself, so where like he can have the flexibility itself and he can just utilize his time itself for the well-being itself, like he can take care of himself. That's the thing, and that's the magic can be done. Workload balancing again can be a great exponent which we have to work on, where you might have not checked and it remains unchecked, like where we are just burdening one employee with lot much of work and other talent has been remain underutilized, and then this balance create actually the conflict and disengagement with both of the employees, because what you will be seeing is like the employee who is very overburdened with the work will also feel like because of the burnout things he will thinking of leaving. And again on the another part itself, where the people who are getting underutilized will feel like they are not getting anything, the opportunity or the growth, and again they will be looking out for the other hunter, they will become the job hunters itself. So that the balance needs to be played along with the flexibility, and at the same point of time the wellness and support programs needs to be taken care of, because obviously the financial benefits and the monetary benefits again at a lot can create a lot, but it's not everything can be done. Along with that we have to take care of our employees wellness and the support itself, which again plays a very important role when we are thinking about their mental well-being, their psychological well-being, uh, and like let's have some emotional support with the people, because obviously when we are talking about organization and the important resource, so they are the humans only, not the machines. So how we can do, actually how we can plan and how we can figure it out is it's a very simple 3 steps I can suggest you. Is like predict and prevent the attrition in the 3 steps itself. Firstly, you need to spot the early warning signals. Secondly, you have to gain the visibility, like who of your employee is showing that kind of signals, and on that particular signal where we have gained the visibility we have to take the actions. So again, I'm just needing your polls itself, like which early warning signals are hardest for you to figure it out, like reduced collaboration, decline in productivity, low engagement, or underused skills. So let's wait for the results itself. Meanwhile, we are waiting for the results. Okay, so here are the results we are having. Okay, so we have got the results, and the result shows like the early warning signals, which are very easiest, I will say, like because we have are the hardest to spot on are low engagement, which we have got like the 50% of the results, and then it is being followed by utilized skills and then decline in the productivity. So our audience is saying like reduced collaboration is something which can be easiest to spot. I would be agreeing with that itself, because it's real, like we can just see it, like the visibility can be seen very early. And then the thing is like low engagement is all about of the guesswork itself. It seems like the guesswork itself, and again the underutilized skills and following up with the decline in the productivity. So we'll just keep the things following up on the same itself, and we'll just talk about like how we can stop this, and the spots which seems to be hardest for you can be easiest one. And then after this you will stop guessing the work itself, like your guessing work will be stopped, and you will be seeing like how early you can and how easily you can spot these signs itself. So we will just take all of the signals itself, like reduced collaboration, decline in productivity, and low engagements and reduced skills as well. So yeah, I would be agreeing like reduced collaboration is easy to check upon, because we can just check it out like the any work and if the project, if somebody is not working, so it is easy to see like the collaboration is not happening. But against the low engagement and the productivity, if remain unnoticed, it really becomes hardest to solve upon that. Meanwhile, we are having the Q&As also somewhere. So let's have a look upon that itself before we just proceed with the session itself. So we were having the question like how can we judge during uh, X, Y, X certifications, one certification is complete, monitor behavior. So yes, definitely the time chime can help you to monitor each of your employees' behavior and productivity patterns. You can easily see like where they are most active, where they are most focused in the things itself, and you can just see itself. And do you have any model ready if XYZ employee left having XYZ certifications, experience, and so on by RM? And based on the project, how we can fit on rearrange teams from different teams with similar experience and skills? It must be seamless. Yes, definitely. We can work on that. Also, RM, like we can provide you the model where we can work on these things. Most of the question now you can just post upon in the Q&A section, and we will be answering all the questions of yours. So let's begin with there itself from resume, like the hardest skills we have found, like it seems to be it becomes hardest to just see where the productivity is going, where like under these skills are there. So what we can just follow up and see, the disengagement is the one of the most sorted and picked up by you, everybody of you, like half of the audience is picked up that disengagement is something which we cannot easily recognize. So what's actually the disengagement shows, it's very easy. Like once you will assign a task itself, you just need to see the CTA, or like the action is being taken by your team itself. So if you are once you are assigning the task itself, whether the person is getting responsive or the person is not getting any engagement or shows very low response or disengagement itself. So if the person is getting, we are just getting the response, or we are just seeing the engagement itself, so that's mean like everything is under control, like the person is going ahead with the things. And next can be a case where like the person's again is showing low engagement when once a task is being assigned, or like it's showing the very disengagement or low response is there. So there is this is something, the early warning signals, where we have to intervene, when we have to act upon, and we have to the intervention can be of the, again, in the multiple formats itself. It can be a monitoring, or it can be like the person can be needing a support. It can be happen like you have assigned a task to your employee, but is showing low disengagement and the low response, and then again you are assuming, okay, like he is not working. But it can be a reason like he might be not showing the response because he is feeling the lack of the tools itself. It can be a very simple reason, but again, if it has not been checked in the first place itself, it will just go to in the multiplication itself. He will not be feeling okay, he will be just feeling burnout. Psychologically he will be bursting itself, and then it will just channelize into your uh like resignation itself. So what if you have just spotted it very early, like this person is just needing a tool, and that's the thing, something is like stopping you to work. And if you'll just provide him the tool itself, and you will be seeing like the productivity is under channelized, and the production is going into the as per our plan itself. Again, the case can be anything, like where the person is just needs to be is again, the person is overburdened, and you have just given him assigned him one new task. Again, it can be a reason for that itself. And there might be reason the person wants some growth opportunities, or like he's just facing a mental breakdown. So the reason can be anything. How about I'm saying you is like, you have just spot on that thing early itself, so you have came across the reason, okay, this is the reason the person is disengaging. But what happens usually, you are not giving the visibility itself to that disengagement itself, then it gets silently and like multiplied, and then it like that disengagement attrition got multiplied very silently because we have not given them the visibility, and then it returns into the resignation itself. So this is something the picture is actually following. So if we have spotted very early here itself, so definitely the resignation will not come into the picture too. Now the thing is happens like the guessing works altogether starts, and like as we have seen across the poll itself, like the disengagement is something which we are like you are feelings like you, it is very hardest to spot on. So what I will say is like you will be always guessing like, what if an automated tool can predict the attrition before it happens. So tool can be there itself where you can just detect the early signs of disengagement, retention, turnover, keep your high performers engaged and motivated itself. So meet the time champs with our tool time champ itself. What we can do, all the things which you are struggling with, like you have to keep on the guessing work itself and feeling it very hardest to spot the disengagement, reduce turnover, and the things is like who is performing well, the productivity, declining productivity. Again, we have come across the results, and as a view of yours, like it feels very hardest for you. So here we are introducing like the time champ as a retention intelligence tool itself, where you will be getting like real time visibility into the engagement and the productivity, which again like also give you the results about the attrition risk. So all the things which the spots or the reasons behind the attritions or the signals which seems like very hardest to spot on, or which seems like as of now like the guessing works for the most of the HRs and the founders or the DevOps or the like the operations people as of now, will be very finely reduced. You will be getting the real time visibility into the engagement, productivity, and attrition of all of your employees. The manager can see very seamlessly like where their team is showing engagement and where there is a decline in the productivity, or where the disengagement is showing itself. It will helps you to spot the early warning signals before the resignation is occurring itself. It will turn the behavior patterns into the actionable retention strategies, because by analyzing the behavior patterns of your employees given by the tool itself, you can just take a very action for your retention strategies. You can plan accordingly, and you can easily spot and retain your top hires itself, which eventually will help you to reduce the turnover cost, retain your top performers. And the cost, I know, like, is the biggest factor to keep the things running. And on the top of that, like that, human resource is the top of the things which is retaining is becomes a very biggest problem for the HRs and the founders. which can easily be solved out because we can just see the real time analytics of the employees, and which can we can just spot on, take the actionable actions, and retain the things itself. The attrition risk and the predict and preventions, again the time champs having the specific reports, we are taking care of the most of the attrition itself, where you will be seeing the attrition reports which employees are at the risk, so you can act before the resignation occurs. Risk score quantifies an employee's likelihood of leaving using behavior patterns and performance indicators. The employees will be ranked as a high, medium, and low in the prioritize of the retention. So you are having the ready-made results itself, where you will be seeing like which employees are at the high risk of the retention, and again you can just take the retention actions there immediately. You can take again you will be seeing, okay, like who are the low uh, people are at the employee retention risk, and again who are where you need to the highly focus on the people. Over time, work patterns tracks changes in the productivity, engagement, and the collaboration. Again, at the same point of time, we will be giving you the early signs of burnout and disengagement as a flag for the timely intervention, where you can take upon the actions on that itself. We will be giving you with the performance insights and recommendations too, where you will be seeing like instant insights in your team's activity and the performance. You will be seeing like what are the utilization patterns your organization is following, and where there are the efficiency gaps which needs to be fulfilled. Monitor, you will be also getting the reports of the like the focus levels and the task progression, where like the early intervention can get the things on the track itself, and when it becomes too late and the deadlines are there itself, it will automatically recommend you the action to optimize the performance and the resource allocation also. Where the one of the factors we have talked about, like there's changes, and like there's a hustle and bustle and they are in the workload balance itself, which can be easily balanced with the data in your hands. Like you will be seeing the results and the reports of like the resource allocation and where your team is performing itself. Work-life balance again is one of the sorted topic in the today's work environment itself. So here you will be getting a clear spot of like who are of your employees, like the overworked and the underworked, and according to that you can ensure like the fair task distribution should be there in across the team itself, where you can see the fair understanding of your employees working distribution, and then everybody will get a share of their work itself, and with the balanced work being allocated, they can perform very efficiently. Again, it will just give you the track breaks and time of compliance, optimize your schedules with the real-time work data also, so you can have a check on and you can very early plan up the works and the task allocation and resource allocations within your teams itself. Productivity decline is again the most sorted problems, or like the most sorted spot we have found, or like this early like the spot for the retention itself. So here you will be getting the analysis of the productivity and the behavior trends of your employees automatically, where you will have the visual like the clear and live visibility of your productivity trend, what which is falling across your teams. You can track the task timelines and the work progressions in the real time itself, so no guesswork will be there itself. You will be seeing like the behavior signals linked to the attrition risk, burnout, and the disengagement, which will give you the clear insights where you can just take up on the action on that. You will be seeing the detect sudden drops and the consistent decline in the productivity in an engagement, where you can just take up a call with your team itself. A one-to-one can be scheduled, and it can be talked and sorted out, like where the people are needing the skills, where the people are needing a break itself, or where there's an underutilization, and can be talked about. So again, like we are just requiring your views, like how proactive your team in addressing early disengagement. So have your post there. So we will just talk about the session there itself. Like whether you guys are feeling like you are always proactive, or like sometimes it's a proactive, really proactive, or near proactive. Okay, so results are there itself, and we are seeing like the most of the votes are in the line of like teams are okay. So the results are here itself, and like the your teams is saying, like the audience is saying, like their team is sometimes proactive in spotting these early warning signals of the disengagement, and rest of the things results we are getting like it's really proactive, or like we are always proactive. So again, the 60% of the results are showing like the sometimes we are proactive. So I would say like yeah, I'm agreeing with the things itself. Again, like when we had a talk with the multiple founders, and we have the talk with the multiple uh, like the teams itself, and I have come across the same situation itself, and they are saying like we try to always be productive proactive, but it goes into like the sometimes being sometimes productive itself. I would be saying like the reason can be like sometimes it because it becomes difficult to spot on the science itself, like to get the understanding and like to see actually spot the science signals of like disengagement itself, and it results into the, like the being sometimes proactive. And when we have not talked about like and we are facing like okay, this no visibility can be sorted out, so that it becomes and it results into being so sometimes productive. We are actually the disengagement or the attrition which require like you should be always being proactive in addressing the early disengagement, which will definitely help in decreasing the attrition and retaining the top talented the talents itself. So we will just catch up the session same way itself, like how we can always be proactive, how we can just reduce the percentage of like being really never proactive or sometimes proactive. So as we have got the votes also, like it is in the line of the sometimes proactive, so let's like change about like being sometimes proactive to the always proactive, how we can work on that itself. So we'll be addressing the same into the next slides itself, like how we can just work on that thing itself. More of that I would like to add, like if you have any question and query, you can just put up in the Q&A session. We or our team will be taking care of that questions of yours, and we will be helping you answering them. So let's talk about like how we can just keep all these disengagement signals under spotting early, and like how we can always be proactive and keeping the actions very early to predict the attritions very early itself. So here are the measures we can track, like we can track the behavior and the productivity signals itself. We can identify like the risk trends automatically, alert leaders before disengagement escalates, enables interventions with the contacts itself. So the time frame will help you to predict attrition very early with the things is like from now from being really proactive or like sometimes proactive, it will help you to automate everything, and you can always be proactive in predicting the attrition of your workforce itself, and you can just channelize that spot early disengagement into like the actions being taken on that, and you can predict the attrition. We will be giving you the report of like the behavior and the productivity signals, risk trends automatically. It will just give you the alerts to the leaders also, like before that disengagement is getting it silently multiplied and escalating into the resignation part itself, or like losing the employee morale or disengagement. It will help you to enable like the intervene very early with your workforce and take up the required action to keep the people's happy, to keep the people engaged itself, and to keep there itself and retaining the organization itself. One of our financial service team, I would say, like we have worked with them, and they have reduced the attrition and improved their productivity with the time champ itself. Earlier what we were having is just like our audience, like when they were not using the time champ itself, they have come across us, and they were facing lot much of disengagement problem itself. There was like the work workload imbalances there, and they were not able to detect the engagement, like disengagement signs very early. They were keep doing the guessing works and were facing very hustle bustle in their teams itself. But with the intervention of our tools, they have got the analysis, they got the reports of like the attritions, and like they have got the signs detected very early. And with that reports and like the analysis and the alerts, they have started mentoring their team. They have found like which of the resources needs to be a little bit monitoring or the proper monitoring, the mentoring there. And they have also found like the task reallocation needs to be done to improve the productivity, because they were founding like their teams, the task allocation was very disbalanced itself. Like few were very overburdened with their resources were very overburdened, and less were like very underutilized. So they have just on the data with their hands and the insights and the alerts, they have just replanned, restructured their work and task allocation, which has resulted in the improve their like the productivity. And in with the same itself, like the plan and the alerts, they have found that there's a reduced attrition risk by 30% within the 3 months itself. So this is something while to wait for this, like you can also get the improvement in your productivity itself, and you can, I would say, like you will also be seeing the reduce retention risk and reduce attrition risk, and you can just increase your retention with the tools like the time, where you'll be getting the analytics and the insights by our tool itself. And this integration and scalability, if I'll talk about the tool, so it will be easily be integrated with the ERP, HRMS, and the payrolls. It will be supporting 100 to 2000 plus users in the teams across of your organizations, can be very easily. And it can also be used across the teams to detect the early disengagement, emerging attrition trends, and automated alerts for at the risk employees. So all you will be getting is the automated results. Why you would be needing automated tools like timestamp is like, without the tools, like it becomes so very like really proactive things to get the disengagement. It becomes very hard works, and it becomes very altogether a guesswork to understand like what is happening actually on the ground level itself. But with the tool, automated tools, you will be able to detect the early disengagement signals very early, because the disengagement signals are very scattered, and without the tools you'll it's very hard to track. It becomes all the guesswork. Hidden attrition risks go very unnoticed without the centralized insights, and all of a sudden we are just seeing the resignation letters only. A manager needs very clear visibility, I would say, to act before the resignation occurs, and that visibility can be come across and can be helped out by with a tool itself, where you will be getting the insights, and like you will be able to spot the early warning signals too. Teams require the balanced workload and disengagement like the engagement monitoring too, where like the balanced approach can be followed up, where we are having the analytics before our eyes, like what the allocation we are following, where the employees are overworked or underworked, like the workload, what's the task allocation we are following. So this kind of visibility can be gained up with the tools itself, where you will be seeing and you will be able to get the analysis and the insight itself. So timestamp brings it all together, helps you to predict the attritions, boosts retentions, and simplifies the intervention also. It's not just like the another monitoring tool itself, it's an intelligence layer, I would say, to your workforce, where you will be getting the complete alerts and the intelligence things automatically designed for you, where you can intervene very early, and it will help you to simplify the intervention where you needs to intervene with your team, and what kind of the support, what kind of actions needs to be taken before it becomes too late. I would love to give you an IT industry client's case of ours, where we have worked with a client from the IT sector itself. So before the time, they have come up with us with when I was talking about them. So they have this few of the problems they were facing within their organization itself, and like they are quite worried about the things is like attrition got too late. They are it becomes like it was very hard for them to retain their employees because of their that they were just seeing the loss in the productivity itself also. They were getting the letter like the resignations, and it was not able, they were not able to figure it out actually, and which was helping, which was just getting their productivity very low. And even like they were, when they have understood and when they have studied their environment itself, so they have found that like the workload imbalance is there and burnout is there itself, but they were not able to figure it out actually, like how we can just replan the things itself. So where we have just introduced the time champ to them as a solution, and after using the time champ they were able to see with the our insights reports and the alerts of us, they have been able to see and detect the early attrition risk detentions, and with the help of that itself and the analysis and with the early intervention then they have taken up with their team itself. So this has resulted into very high retention rates. They are nowhere worried about the attrition things itself, and the real time performance insights they were getting within this, they were just planning, they are planning every work like that itself only, and there's an increase in their productivity, and there is a healthy balanced workload, things are there, task allocation and resource utilization is very proper, and the healthier environment they have seen, and like the happily they are managing the things itself. So no more you are away from that. You can just book a demo with us. You can take a 7 days free trial. You can see exactly with the trial itself, like who in your organization is engaged, who is at the risk of, who is at the attrition risk, who is at the, like, who needs to be retained, and where the workflow bottlenecks lies actually. So where the intervention needs to be required. So the time champ analysis your team SaaS usage, productivity signals, engagement patterns, and then it gives you very custom retention and the productivity report on which you can act upon and keep your organization flowing very effortlessly with you can have a 7 days free trial of a tool, and you can see like how the actual the data is working for you itself. Sign up for now for the 7 days free trial without any pressure. There's no cost, no pressure, no credit card or debit card requirement there. You can sign up for free and see the differences we are making. What you will be getting in the 7 days free trial is you will be seeing, our team will show you, and you will see the results by the tool itself. Like you will be able to identify showing how early signals of disengagements are there. You will be seeing like what the workflow bottlenecks are there, and you can spot on them, you can work on them and drive the attrition. You will be receiving the actionable recommendation to retain your top talent itself, quick wins to improve the engagement and productivity within the 2 to 4 weeks with the complete analytics, spot signing of early warning signals, and then taking the interventions wherever required, and the actionable recommendations will be given by the tool itself. So you can just book your demos on like the link which has been shown on the screen itself. You can scan the QR code, and we'll just show you the insights. Our product experts will show you the insights in the tool itself, like how the analysis and the insights can be helpful for you to see the early warning signals, take the intervention itself, reporting itself, what the productivity analysis we are giving, and again like the same things like the actionable claims we will recommend you, which you can just take upon the actions and retain your talents. I hope you have got the link and this QR codes, and you have scanned it, and team will be seeing you with the analysis and the reports itself. Uh, what will happen, like once you will be booking a demo with us, so we will be just taking the 15 minutes discovery call where we will show you like the what's the analytics and how the tool is helping you, what the intelligence level we are coming across in your organization. We will share the current flow. Our team will run a workflow audit within your organization, and then you will be seeing like the attrition insights and the actionable steps to reduce it. So this is something we are offering. So as we have discussed in the early session of earlier itself in the session, so let's we have keep the last 10 minutes of the session on the Q&A time itself for the Q&A itself. So we will be happily and more than happily to happy to answer your questions. So you can just put up your questions in the Q&A section, and we will take up the questions here. So we will be waiting for your questions. You can put your questions in the questions box, and we'll just take it from there itself. Okay, so we have got one question from Venkatakrishna. Like, does this replace appraisals or managers' feedback? So I would say the tool will not replace the appraisals and the manager feedback, but it will help to take the appraisal and manager feedback decisions more efficiently. It will just give you the data and analytics and the reportings on which you can take the appraisal and manager feedback actions very efficiently and very accurately, because you will be having the clear data in your hands itself. The another questions we have got from an attendee is like, will employees feel monitored or micromanaged? Not at all. The employees will not be feeling micromanaged or monitored, because it's not like an unlike an another monitoring or micromanagement tool. It's the data analytics tool. So we are working on understanding the behavior patterns of the employees itself only, and they will be even like they will be feeling more aligned with your organization there, because it will be giving the very transparency, like if their work is they are working for the organization, so their work will be properly recognized and will be evaluated uh, with the help of the transparency we are creating within the organization. The next question we are having is, does timestamp help? Does the timestamp help? Okay, now we have got the full question here. Like, does the timestamp help cut cost beyond attrition prevention? Surely the timestamp help you to cut the cost beyond attrition as well. Uh, you can book a demo with us, or our product expert will show you like how it works, and it can help you to cutting the actually the lot much of cost itself. One more question we have got is like, how does it help with the silent quitting or quiet disengagement? So the time champ will help you with the silent quitting and quiet disengagement, because it will gather it is the intelligence layer we are putting, which is understanding the behavior patterns of the employees. So with the tool getting incorporated in your organization, Krishna, you will be getting the signs, disengagement signs with the employee is showing you, the lack of disengagement the employee is showing, and like the behavior pattern he's following throughout the day. So you'll be getting the reports, and you will be getting the alerts like needs to be taken, which will help you. I would request you to book a demo, so we'll just show you the analytics and the completes, and you can have a trial run of a tool as well to gather the analysis of that itself. Next question we were having, like, how timestamp identifies the disengagement of an employee. Like, what are the key parameters that this software considers? So the timestamp can help you to identify the disengagement of an employee, the parameters which we are working upon, and it will just pick up the behavior patterns of your employees, and like what the pattern he is following, what the way he is showing the reduced collaboration within the team's engagements, within the team itself, decline in the productivity, or like the idle times are more. So certain parameters we have incorporated where all together it will just catch up. So you'll be seeing like the disengagement patterns the person, or the signals the person is giving you. Okay, so the Q&A session is open itself, and we have answered all few of the questions there, and few are in the queue itself. And as we are running out of the time, so no issues. You can just put up your questions there itself. Our team will uh, follow up with you, and they will definitely we will answer each and every of your questions, and we can connect anytime and talk about your queries in the question itself. So we have to close the session here itself. Thank you everyone so much for joining this session, keeping this session interactive. And I hope you have gathered the insights here and the session was useful. The topic or the most discussed topic and worrisome topic about the attrition, where it seems like a guesswork for everybody. As of now, and when we were thinking like the retention is always being a proactive like the reactive approach, and like the guesswork and the hustle bustle goes, and we have streamlined the discussion and like there itself, and we have found the insights like the attrition can be preventable when we take the right approach, when we take the like the retention, seeing the retention as a proactive approach instead of like the reactive one. And just the thing is like we have to spot on the early warning signals, give attention to them, and work upon the with a quiet intervention where required. We can save a lot of cost and retain our top talent. So it was a really a wonderful sessions. Thank you so much for everyone for attending this session. And looking forward in the upcoming series for coming up with the wonderful sessions and helping you everybody across our universe like to making their organizations more productive, more efficiency, and solving the challenges in the current environments. Thank you, everyone.